So I didn't have access to a printer because I don't have class on campus anymore, and I would have to make a separate trip to campus to print off the keywords. So I decided just to fill out the workbook page instead. But we've all seen a lot of good speeches in our life, and I've never really thought about why was that speech so good, or what did the speaker, him or herself, do to deliver their message so well. So for this project, it was kind of nice to sit down and watch a speech multiple times and think about why is this speech really good? What is the speaker doing? And I ended up watching one of the TED Talks done by Rick Elias. It was called Three Things I Learned While My Plane Crashed. And he was on the plane that crashed into the Hudson River a couple of years ago. And he talks about three things about himself that he learned and how his life has changed after going through that experience. That was a really good speech, but there are two things in particular I thought were really good in his speech. The first one was in his introduction, his use of visual imagery, talking about the sounds of the plane crashing, talking about looking at the the flight attendants and seeing the fear in their face, and that's how he knew that their plane was going down. Talking about just the pilot's voice and what he said on the way down, and yeah, and I just thought he did a really good job to put the audience in the chair with him as he was going down and putting us in that place and how it would feel. So that was the one thing I thought. The first thing I thought he did really well. The second thing would be his use of humor. Overall, it was a pretty serious speech. Talking about how he's made really positive life changes, talking about how scary the situation was. But he always, after he'd talk, really seriously about something, he'd kind of transition into some humor to lighten up the speech. And I thought he did that really well. He used humor, he spaced it out. He used it like once every minute. It was about a 5-minute long speech, and there's probably about 4 or 5 things that humorous lines that he used, and the audience responded to them really well. And he just the way and the timely way how he delivered them, I thought was really good. So yeah, overall I thought it was a really good speech. The two things he did really well were putting us in his seat as the plane was crashing, and the second thing he did really well was use humor to make the speech more enjoyable and kind of lighten up the topic and make the audience more engaged overall.